Alright, welcome back. So today I want to take a second to build the function from a graph. I've done some problems like this before in a video, but I want to make just one video nice and short to tell you how to do this. There's going to be two steps to this really. The first is finding the zeros. The second step is working the zeros backwards to make the function. So if you understand how to go from a function to the zeros really well, then you're going to be able to do this just fine just by doing those steps in reverse. So we're going to start with the first thing. We want to find the zeros of the function we're given. And on the right side of my screen, you can see the graph of a function. Now, what might happen is the case with this graph that the points that you cross the x-axis don't perfectly line up to the points that are like perfectly labeled. So you're going to have to do a little bit of guesswork, and that could be done just simply by counting the little lines between each labeled point. So for instance, I cross the graph here, and it's between -4 and -6. Well, if I count, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 squares between -2 and -4, and that's a jump of 2 from -2 to -4. So that means that every 2 squares is 1. So 1 square, 2 squares, this point should be at -5. X equals -5. And if I click Desmos, it'll show me that it is in fact at -5. So that's my first zero. Then this other point touches exactly at -2. So that's my next zero. And then this next point, once again, looks like it's halfway between 2 and 4. And if we count the little squares, it is halfway. And of course, because Desmos is nice and interactive, I could click it and find out that it is in fact at 3. So that's just a tip to count those little squares to make sure that you're getting the exact point. If it's not coming through exactly on a marked line, want to make sure that you're getting it down pretty good. So we've got -5, -2, and 3 as my zeros. And now I'm gonna I'll leave up the graph because we can check the graph and make sure that my function's right after I finish doing this work. Now, if you remember, when we're given the function, the shortcut is to take the opposite of the value we're adding or subtracting, and that becomes our zero. So if I take the opposite of -5, this becomes then the value it was inside the function. So the opposite of -5 is +5, and that's what it is inside the function. And to make it look more like a function, I put an x in front of it and wrap it in parentheses. Then for the -2, the opposite of -2 is +2. And the same thing, I want to put an x in front of that and wrap it in parentheses. And now the last number we have is that +3. The opposite of +3 is -3. And same thing, put an x in front of it and wrap it in parentheses to make it look like a function. Now the only thing that I'm really missing is to say that it is a function, and the way we do that is like through f of x, or any layer of x, any letter, excuse me, of x tells us it is a function. So in this case, it's function f in terms of x. You can use any letter there, but now this whole thing is the function that is graphed here. And if I open up this toolbar, we can see, oh no, I just deleted it. Undo, there we go. Oh boy, making mistakes out here. So x + 2, which I've got right here, times x - 3, which is right here, times x + 5, which is right here, I have built the function that was given to me. So I hope this helps. To recap, you find the zeros, and then you take the opposite of those zeros, put an x in front of each one, and wrap them in parentheses to create the factors. I hope this helps. Have a great one.